All right. We're
All
live.
right.
Look at that.
Let's do it.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Clubhouse Picks brought to you by Godzilla Wins. I am your host, Jack Fredericks, editor-in-chief of GodzillaWins.com, where you can get all of your sports picks and predictions on everything from the NBA to the UFC. Clubhouse Picks is your go-to podcast for PGA predictions, tournament previews, and salty picks for the Get Better in Golf fan. It is a lovely Tuesday evening here in Mississippi on April 11th. And we're here to give you our picks and predictions for the RBC Heritage Tournament in Hilton Head, South Carolina, following up the Masters. I'm here with my co-host, Nate Perry, the greatest handicapping caddy west of the Rockies. Welcome to the show, as always, Nate.
Thank you.
So let's start here before we get into the RBC. I don't want to recap the Masters. We already did that. So you go ahead and you go to Godzilla Wins, the YouTube channel, and you can find our Masters recap where we talk all things Masters. But what I do want to ask is, I heard you're out on the golf course for maybe the first time this year. How's the game looking?
Better than I thought. This is probably the longest I've gone without swinging a club in my adult life.
That's how long's it been?
Like 5 months. Like usually I go somewhere over the winter and play, but I didn't do that this year.
Interesting.
So yeah.
What do you got to work on?
Wow.
Everything?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, everything full swing wise. Putting's still good.
Okay. Well, look, if the putting's there, just like Patrick Reed, if the putting's there, as long as you can get on the green, you can get in the hole.
Absolutely.
Pair
me to Patrick Reed.
That's
thought we were friends, man.
Yeah, whenever anyone's like, what's Nate's comp in the golf world? I'm like, yeah, Patrick Reed, maybe Abraham Answer, pretty good, little Aaron Rye. It's a good comp for you. Not exactly not exactly the longest off the tee, but I mean, you can get there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who my comp would be. Maybe who lost their card. Who's recently working at the pro shop?
Injured Bryson. That's your comp.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's 100% my comp. Both in terms of golf swing and just general attitude, like ideology. The way we move through the world is probably a little too similar. So, he's very successful. So maybe one day I will be too. Okay, well, then here we are with Bryson DeChambeau on golf podcast. That'd be an interesting pair. The Live Tour heels, I guess. So we're talking the RBC Heritage Tournament at Harbour Town Golf Course. We're going to give you our picks here pretty soon. We'll go with the same format we've always gone with. But before we do that, Nate, I want you to just tell our listeners a little bit about the golf course here, the Harbour Town Golf Course in Hilton Head. I think they've been playing at Harbour Town at least for 4 or 5 years. So this should be pretty familiar to the folks who've been playing at RBC. What is Harbour Town like? What are the challenges on the course?
So Harbour Town's actually hosted the Heritage since 1969. So we have a lot of years to look at in terms of this golf course. It's really short. It's like a little over 7,100 yards, probably. It's par 71. By pretty much any measure on the PGA Tour, this is like a really short course, one of the shortest ones they play. It's known for having ridiculously small greens, probably like almost half the size of the average PGA Tour green is sort of their average. So it's tiny greens, really short and really tight. Tons of trees, water on 17 out of 18 holes, bunkers everywhere. So it's just a course that requires a lot more sort of precision and finesse more than sort of brute strength this week.
Precision and finesse. What are the what are you looking for? I mean, as far as precision goes, I know we always talk about approach, but what was your own approach to picking some of these guys based on this Pete Dye course? We know Pete Dye can be pretty diabolical. in how he designed courses. So we're always looking for precision on these courses. But what exactly will you be looking at?
So P-Dye courses are interesting because there's a handful of them that they play every year on tour. And typically guys tend to do really well at both of them. The two big ones are TPC Sawgrass and then this one, Hilton Head. Guys that play well at one usually play good at both. It just is something about the sort of position golf element, being able to sort of navigate tricky green, peat dye greens that just sort of lends itself to being repeatable. So the first thing you look at is just like, who does well here? Because they usually do it well over and over and over again. As far as like the overriding stats go, like the ones that sort of guided me, it was strokes gained approach. Being a little bit wild off the tee doesn't hurt you this week. These guys don't hit many drives off the tee anyways. They're mostly just playing to a certain point in the fairway. So if you're sort of an inaccurate driver, it doesn't kill you. But you do need to have a good iron game. So strokes gained approach was the big stat, and then other one is strokes gained around the green. The greens are so small that everyone's going to miss greens. So you need to be able to scramble and salvage pars when you do miss, because it's just inevitable. No one's going to go, 17 out of 18 greens on this course.
I'm looking at the past top fives, past winners, stuff like that. And it's pretty interesting because there's not a lot of people who, if you just kind of keep going back through the years at Harbour Town, who are continually at the top of the leaderboard. Harold Varner, but of course he's on live now, so he's out. Looks like Morikawa. This is probably a good course for him. He's kind of around the leaderboard. Tyrrell Hatton, but they're really, like in 2020, Abe Answer finished second. Webb Simpson won. Okay. In 2021, Stuart Sink won at 19 under. Harold Varner finished second. Matt.
But he's always played that course well. Stuart Sink won it 3 times.
Yeah. Corey Connors has been playing well. He's doing, he's on that leaderboard for 2021, 2022. Spieth, Cantlay, Varner, Lowry. I don't know. Sepp Straka, who was playing, I think, better golf last year than this year, to be honest with you. But so it's not like it's one or two guys who just continue to creep up that leaderboard. And that's probably because the course is fairly gettable. I don't know what people usually play this to, but these scores are low. Minus 12.
It depends on the weather. Yeah. Between 12 and usually 16. It's probably pretty safe.
Yeah. 2022, Webb Simpson shot 22 under with 7 under in round 4. Yeah, that's right. 2020. Yeah, sorry. 2021 was a 19 under Stuart Sink. So yeah, you're going to see some low scores this week. Some guys who can really capitalize. Kind of interesting. Anything else they should look out for? How's the water out there?
A lot of water. It doesn't always come into play, but it's pretty much present on every hole. And then of course you have them sort of going out towards the bay on the 18th hole, which lines the entire left side of the hole. So, and plays a really prominent role in determining the outcome of the tournament typically. So, there is water for sure, but it's pretty strategic. It's not just like it's everywhere.
So these guys aren't taking risks, is what you're saying. They're going to take a lot of irons off the tee, lay up, get to the green. There must be, does the course punish those who want to take risks? I can't imagine Bryson DeChambeau, who in 2019 or 18 was kind of around the leaderboard, was not taking risks.
It just doesn't really lend itself for, that was sort of when Bryson was trying to, break every rule possible. But it doesn't lend itself to risk typically because the trees are really, really big there, and they're positioned in ways and they kind of hang over the greens in certain areas. So you really have to be not just in the fairway, but on the right side of the fairway to be able to access some of these greens, because there are a lot of times where you could hit it, in the middle of the fairway or whatever, but you're still sort of not going to be able to get it very close because there's a tree sort of in between you and the green or the pin.
Right.
So guys just aren't going to drive it because it's just, not as reliable. It's just way too penal, and it's not necessary. It's such a short course.
Okay. Interesting. Well, listen, short course, We're going to talk guys who have some precision, guys who have had success here or in course comps like that. But Nate, before we do that, we got to thank Birch Gold, one of our sponsors that makes everything we do here at Clubhouse Picks possible. Inflation has consequences. As the Fed raises interest rates to combat out of control government spending, long-term bonds have diminished in value, crippling the banks. Depositors are holding their breath and investors are bailing on bank stocks. Diversification has never been more important. That's why I love Birch Gold. That's why Nate loves Birch Gold. We love Birch Gold. The recent surge in gold prices is directly tied to the extreme market volatility right now. This is why gold has been historically a great hedge against the stock market and against inflation. Now would be a great time to diversify in gold with the Birch Gold Group. Birch Gold makes it easy to convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in precious metals. Here's what you need to do. Text Godzilla to 989-898. That's Godzilla to 989-898 to get a free info kit on gold. They'll help you convert your existing IRA or 401k that's tied to a volatile market into an IRA in physical precious metals, gold and silver. And the best part, it's tax sheltered. So go ahead, text Godzilla 989-898 to claim your free toolkit on gold today with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Thousands of happy customers and countless 5-star reviews. Birch Gold is who you can trust to protect your future. Text Godzilla to 989-898 today. Okay, Nate. So we want to thank Birch Gold for always partnering with us to make this possible. We now want to talk about our funky little format that is a little bit different from the other picks shows who are just going to run down some of the top guys and give you 10 picks of everyone who's plus 200 to plus 2,000 to 3,000. We do things a little bit differently here. We're going to start with our driver. Those are our heavy hitters. I pulled one out of my bag this week. It's a little bit different, but these are guys who are basically under 20 to 1. So in other tournaments, it can kind of change. Usually it's Scotty, Rory, and John Rahm. But in this tournament, we have some other guys who are a little bit under that as well. Nate, I'll start with you. If you had to pick one of these guys with short prices, who are you going with this week?
Yeah, I mean, this week it's usually it's the big three. This week it was kind of the big four. I pretty much included sort of Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, Cantlay, and Morikawa as sort of like our drivers that should be under consideration this week. And I mean, you can make a case for any of them, right? I don't love Rahm because he just won the Masters and probably isn't super interested in this tournament. He's probably more interested in celebrating. Make a strong argument for Scotty because he hit the ball so well, but the price is terrible at plus 850. So I landed on Cantlay.
Oh, you stole mine.
I stole it.
I thought I was going to come out with such an aggressive Cantlay campaign and that you're going to be all over Scotty or Morikawa, who burned you at the Masters.
No, I'm done with Morikawa.
Yeah, I should have known. Okay, well, tell me why you like Cantlay. I'm in agreement.
I love the I mean, it would just be so typical for everyone to get so angry about his slow play stuff at Augusta, and then he just goes out and wins a golf tournament.
This is exactly why I picked him. That's exactly why I picked him.
We talked about it, not at all.
Yeah, no, we didn't. We didn't talk about it. I'd rather we had two different guys, but I was looking. Obviously, Cantlay's a great golfer. We'll get into his stats, but yeah, I thought it is so typical of golf for everyone to be furious at Cantlay for his slow play and for him to be standing up there going like, it was more Sam Bennett. Everybody was being slow.
Right. It's a hard course.
Then,
you try and play fast.
Yeah. And then to just shoot like under 27 at RBC and win by like 7 strokes and have to watch him play. Because if that happens, he's going to play even slower. He's just he'll be the last. It'll be in the last group and he'll just be looking at the trees and sizing up every shot and then he'll win. And whoever's in second, Spieth or whatever, will be like, yeah, it took 7.5 hours. We were out there till midnight, So we're exactly in agreement. I mean, I have reasons why he can win this tournament, but I just thought this is so golf for him to just win after everybody being mad at him.
Yeah. I mean, and the reasons are like pretty much there. I mean, he doesn't have like a huge weakness. He hasn't been awesome around the greens this season, but he's still gaining strokes there. But the iron game has always been a good part for him. He's actually down on his strokes gained approach numbers, but he's still 4th in greens and regulation on tour. So he's still got it. You just got to dig a little bit deeper. And I mean, I'm sure you saw too, the course history here is unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
It's finished second last year's couple tie for thirds, tie for seventh. So, I mean, it makes sense that he would be the sort of sneaky pick if we're just trying, not to pick the obvious in Scotty, who, can't putt any worse than he did last week and still played okay. Or John Rahm, who's just, the hottest player on the planet.
Right. I mean, Cantlay loses in a playoff, I think, last year. Both him and Spieth shot 13 under.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now the one thing, like you say, the greens in regulation are still there, but last year he was over 2 strokes gained on approach. So some of his approach game will have to get figured out if he's going to win. But some of this other stuff, like I think his around the green is a little better than the minus number from 2022. I don't have it written down, but he from scrambling, he's 53rd. Scrambling from the fringe, he's first. So, around the green, he's been okay this year. But everything else, I mean, it's the same thing. We have the same idea. And not only that, I mean, Cantlay is one of the best golfers in the world.
Yeah, and he hasn't won yet. I mean, you kind of figure at some point he's going to get one.
Absolutely. I think he has 8 wins, I think, overall. Tied for 14th at the Masters, tied for 19th at the Players, 4th at the API, 3rd at the Genesis. He's like a lock for top 20. I'm sure he's minus money, or he's like plus, 100 to finish in the top 20. But this, I think it's the smartest play for a guy who's playing really well and is probably really mad at everybody for being rude and
about his pace
and critical about his pace. And, we didn't talk about that at the Masters, but it was a story. And Brooks Koepka was playing in the last group and he was behind Cantlay. And Brooks really likes to play fast. And you think maybe that messed with him a little bit. I don't know. These guys should know how to play slow or fast. But
I mean, and that's been like a common thing with Brooks. When Phil Mickelson kind of edged him out in the US Open, I think or in the PGA that he won, I think Brooks kind of folded there, and it was another slow play thing. People thought that I think Phil was deliberately sort of taking his time on stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, oh, Phil's trying to get in his head. Yeah.
And it seems like it works. But in defense of Cantlay, he shot 75 on Sunday. Golf was pretty hard for him. Almost everyone else towards the top of the leaderboard shot under par except for him. So, I mean, he was obviously having a hard day out there. And that's going to take longer too when you're shooting 75.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because you're watching your check get smaller and smaller every time you hit it into the trees. So you got to give him a little bit of leeway. Also, Sam Bennett plays as slow as molasses too. So, and Bennett was ahead of them, I think. And that's what Cantlay was referring to. Listen, every time we got up, but I saw somewhere else, someone said no on 17, Bennett was on the green and Cantlay's on the tee box, saying a prayer. So, we'll see. I think we're both right here. And I don't usually put money on the big guys, but I'm so desperate for a win that I'm going to drive up to Tunica and probably put money on Cantlay 12-1, $20 to win 32 or whatever, because I just want a W so bad. And it seems like really we should just be picking Rahm or Scotty for every tournament. And
that's what it feels like. Yeah.
Then posting on Twitter and being like, look how amazing I am. I picked all these winners. But we try to do that here because at some point, someone with long odds is going to win a tournament and we're going to make that pick. So we'll get to our irons in a minute. I've got 1 iron. You might have 2. Before we do that, though, I want to really talk about targettrading.co. That's targettrading.co. Another one of our great sponsors that helps us so much. With all the fear out there about the economy and personal finances, many people are turning to trading the markets to help support themselves and their families. Trading is risky. There's no doubt about that. Trading is not something that should be entered into lightly. And that is all the more reason to get the proper training and education from targettrading.co. Target Trading Academy is considered the #1 futures trading education company in the industry. Over the last 15 years, the team has developed successful, respectable, repeatable trading strategies, and Target Trading Academy delivers these trading methods to you in a highly structured and effective learning environment. Want proof? You got to check out those reviews on Trustpilot and everywhere else. People just go nuts for Target Trading. The reviews are incredible. That's why Chris says Target Trading Academy is a step to a better financial freedom and quality of life. Whatever the reason you may want to learn to do futures trading, you will not be disappointed with choosing this academy. And that's what they want to do, guys. They want to help you unlock some financial freedom, be your own boss, Patrick comes on our Saturday pick show every Saturday, tallies up his wins. They're always in the green. Listen, go to targettradingacademy.com, sign up for a free virtual campus tour. You can see Patrick and company in action, find out firsthand why they're number one in the game. Or you can go to targettrading.co. That's targettrading.co, or call 888-203-3731. That's 888-203-3731. Okay. And that's targettrading.co. We love Patrick and everything that they do for us. Go check them out. You will not be disappointed. So, Nate, we're going to do the irons now.
Yes.
I've got one. I'm praying you don't have this. I don't think you do. I think I know.
Why don't you go first then?
I'll go first. But I don't think you have him. So irons, reliable guys who win tournaments. That's kind of what an iron means. That's 7 iron, or right now for me, the 5 iron, which is really working nice.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it really is. I'm kind of proud that I got that one straightened out. This is the reliable club that you can hit pretty straight, get towards the green. My iron today is Jordan Spieth, plus 2,200. That's 22-1.
Okay.
Now, we talked a little bit about him at the beginning. Biggest reason he won last year. I don't know. I guess there's not a lot of repeats, but if anyone can repeat, it's Spieth. The numbers, the stats don't love him, at least the strokes gained. I haven't dug deeper to see some other stuff. Total strokes gains, he's 25th, which is not bad. When we're talking Cantlay or Rahm, it's bad. But for Spieth, 25th for stroke, for someone with such a game that's so up and down and not really good for statistics, 25th is pretty good for him. 42nd in approach, putting 76. That's always been an issue with him, is that putting. We saw him bungle the 18th at the Masters and miss a putt again. He's been doing that forever. Scrambling 55th. But look, he's always been a pretty good scrambler. And you talked about this earlier with the course. It doesn't punish guys who hit the ball not so straight. And we know Spieth sometimes doesn't hit it so straight. And we also know that he's probably not going to be using his driver, which gives him trouble. He's great with the irons. And he likes to take risks, but he's also smart enough not to take those risks until Sunday when he needs to. And he can pile up the strokes gained if he needs to. Nate, he's had an incredible season so far. He's another one who is going to get a win, I promise you. Tied for 4th at the Masters. That's one of the other reasons I picked him. There's another guy I have on the list who played well at the Masters. I'm thinking these guys are going to carry that momentum in. Guys who are really excited to have played pretty well. Spieth's not someone who is kicking himself every day for losing. 4th is something that he can build on, and he knows that. Third, tied for 3rd, the Valspar, tied for 19th, the Players, 4th at API, cut from the Genesis, which was kind of weird. Tied for 6th at Waste Management. The guys makes a lot of cuts, and these are like all top 10s, top 20 at the Players. He's going to be in the conversation. Won in 2022. I just think carrying that momentum into the Masters, 22-1, short odds, but these are guys who are pretty reliable. And I'm all in on Jordan Spieth this week. This is one of the picks that I'm most excited about.
Okay. I mean, I think, that is a surprising one. I didn't expect you to pick Spieth, but I mean, I like it. Yeah. I mean, the iron game has been great. I don't know. I just thought you'd pick someone different.
Oh. I like him.
But the iron game's been awesome. And, he's a good putter and he's got a good short game, and he did win there last year. So, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. And he just played so well. He played so well on Sunday at the Masters. I figure I just think he's going to carry that momentum. He is one of those guys, when he gets hot, he's hard to stop. It's all about confidence for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, if he's feeling like he's the best golfer in the world, he doesn't have a problem outscoring Rahm. He just doesn't. So I like him at 22-1. I don't know if you have one or two guys. That's my only guy. So if you have two, we can talk about those.
Yeah, I got a couple guys. I like Sung Jae this week. He's kind of like the first
Sung
one.
Jae every week.
I like Sung Jae every week, man. He's gonna win again. It's easy to like Sung Jae every week. He plays every week.
Yeah, for real.
It kind of comes down to because this course is so unique and because it's pretty short, it brings in a lot of weird guys that have won this. Like Matt Kuchar has done well here. Luke Donald's played really well here and had some good results. Webb Simpson. Luke List is an outlier. But then and then if you look further back, it's like Brian Gay won here. That guy hit it like 270 yards. So it favors kind of shorter guys, or it tends to at least level the playing field for the shorter guys. And Sung J M isn't like, crazy short. He's basically like right around almost exactly average on tour. But, sort of dialing down the distance probably helps a little bit for someone like him. He seems to be sort of headed in the right direction. And basically, like, there's nothing like weak about his game right now. He's just good at everything. His stats are elite. He's 12th in strokes gained total, 13th tee to green, 15th off the tee. So I just sort of am just gonna go Sung Jae again. Somebody's gonna win, and I'm just gonna like break even. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, probably. Or it'll be the one time you don't pick him.
Don't bet him, and then I'll just
more likely
never forgive myself.
Yeah. Okay. Who else you
got? I think you gotta like JT, right? You gotta like JT.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
I didn't pick JT because I feel like I pick him a lot, and I just wanted to go with someone different. But I think that's great.
I don't think I've ever I don't think anyone's won me more money than Justin Thomas on tour.
Yeah, that's probably true. He's often undervalued. Talk about why he didn't make the cut at the Masters before you go into this, because that's really important for people to understand.
Yeah, well, he had a basically bad 4 holes when he came back out and in horrible weather. I mean, he just got the absolute worst part of the draw. He got caught in the bad weather early on Saturday. Bogeyed a bunch of holes to kind of finish his round. Bogeyed like 3 out of the last 4 and missed the cut by 1. And everyone's like, "Oh, JT missed the cut. Like, he must be playing terrible." But it was it was a product of a lot of bad luck. I mean, it was tough out there. And he was out there for the toughest part of it. So I'm not really willing to put that much stock in it. The other side of it is like he had a few extra days off to sort of like recharge the batteries, and everyone else is just sort of reeling from 4 days of Augusta National madness. So I like it from that perspective. And this is just a course that looks like it should suit him. I mean, he's a really good iron player when he's sort of on his game. Typically the putter is sort of a little bit bulky with him. It certainly has been this season, where he's just been like a total disaster on the greens. But these greens are so small that it feels like it shouldn't hurt him as much. These really small greens tend to level the playing field as far as putters go. It's hard to putt badly because they're just so tiny. So I think that, in that sort of aspect, it sets up well. His short game has been elite this season. So why not just take a little swing on JT? I mean, the odds are good, right? I guess I should go back and the odds. I mean, the odds are 25-1 for JT, 25-1 for Sung Jae. And at those odds, like, you're only getting JT like this because he didn't make the cut. If he makes the cut, he's 20-1, 18-1, like everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's right. And so that's one of the things that you can start doing this time of year is finding some value in guys who just have a bad week, and they're playing well because you watch them every week, and we talk about this every week. He's definitely someone who's got longer odds because of that. He's always going to sit around about 20-1, 18-1 if he's playing really well, because he's one of the best golfers in the world. So that's pretty smart. Russell Henley is a guy who played really well last week, and I think is someone I probably would fade at like 45-1. So in the opposite direction, you can look at someone like him and say, like, don't take Russell Henley. Now, if he was like 90-1, sure, take whoever you want, 90-1. But when it comes to someone like that, yeah, like when it comes to something like that, I mean, you want to always be cognizant of how these guys played the week before in a big major championship like the Masters, and how that's going to affect the market the next day. So Thomas definitely offers some value. Anyone else in the iron range here? So Sung Jae and Justin, that's yours. For me, I think it's, yeah, for me it's speed.
Like speed,
some kind of, it's not as many outliers, I think, as we have picked in the past. Those are guys who can win a tournament for real. Okay, so all right, I've got let's move on to the wedge then. So this is our club that, look, you love just pulling out the pitch and wedge, or that 56 degree, and you just think, you know what? This club at the driving range, I just smoke this thing. Every time I hit the ball, it goes exactly where I want it to. I just envision the green on the driving range. I get down on the ball, I compact my swing, and boom, it's just right there. And then you get out on the course and you hit it, and it goes flying over the green, hits a rock, bounces on the cart path, and then disappears down a hill that you didn't even know existed before you hit this ball. That's your wedge. The guy who never seems to win a tournament, but my Lord, he's going to win one at some point. Why don't you go with your wedge first, and I'll pick up after that.
Shane Lowry. I'm gonna go Shane Lowry with my wedge.
That's not a bad pick because I thought about him. Guys, he's playing well.
Yeah. I mean, he's been playing pretty decent. I mean, he played well at the Masters, tied for 16th. And he had a really good result. And the Honda's not like a perfect analog for this golf course. But it is one that, sort of favors really good iron play and just sort of ball striking in general. And he was tied for 5th at the Honda, which I like, made the cut of the Players, didn't play awesome, finishing tied for 35th, which is probably a closer analog. So, but I mean, the game looks pretty sharp. He just putted really badly at the Masters. Otherwise, he probably would have been closer to the top of the leaderboard. So, the bad putting probably doesn't stay for him. And you just got to figure, looks like a good course, and he's played well there. So yeah, that's sort of where I'm going.
2 top 10 finishes in the last 2 years, tied for 9th in 2021, tied for 3rd in 2022, missed the cut the COVID year. Let me see what he did.
I think he's got one other 3rd place finish.
Yeah, 2019. So 3 out of 4 years. 1 year he misses the cut. The other years he's 3 top 10 finishes and 2 top 5 finishes. And that's the kind of stuff that makes a golfer. I mean, that's how you win a tournament. You're playing well at this course, and all of a sudden you break through. I mean, it's an elevated event that I don't think it has been in the past. So
that's correct. Yeah.
I guess we can talk, I guess we have to keep that in mind, that they're just they haven't always played this level of competition, especially after Augusta National and the grind that is, where a lot of guys take that week off. They're not taking that week off this year. So it should be really interesting to see, like, if guys like Scotty or Rahm just dominate again. That's what's happening. A lot of
these guys haven't played it very much. I think Scotty's only played this tournament once. I think Collins maybe played it once or twice. So, nobody really goes to this. It's in the upper echelon, except for Patrick Cantlay. Yeah.
And the thing about Lowry is he does seem to feast when the field is thin. All of a sudden, Shane Lowry is in the conversation.
Put some respect on my man's name. He also has a major. All right.
I know he won a major. Yeah, I know. I mean, look, I'm not trying to disrespect Shane Lowry. I love his game, but a lot of times, I mean, and really what that means is just he's one of the best golfers who isn't one of the best golfers, if that makes sense.
100%.
Like if you just take out like the first 15 guys, all of a sudden Shane Lowry's winning tournaments. It's just, he's good. I mean, and that's not to dismiss his game. So that's a good pick. What were the odds?
Shane Lowry is currently 35 to 1. So
35 to 1.
So still, not as long as sometimes we start going crazy early, but not this week.
That's fine. Elevated event. So my wedge here is Sahith Theegala. 60 to 1. So, and this is going to play into my logic again, because Sahith doesn't exactly have the numbers to back this up either. Although, I mean, I don't think the numbers totally tell the greatest story with him. He's still so young. But the big thing, and I'll just lead with it, is the 9th place finish at the Masters in what I felt like was a really good couple days for him in his game. We talked about this the other day. He seemed to be having fun.
Yeah.
He seemed to be very loose. His ball striking looks very good. The Augusta National is a very difficult course. And he's placed well in a lot. I mean, the Players was tough for him, 74th, but he did make the cut. He's 6th in consecutive cuts made just on tour. So he's probably minus money to make the cut, but I don't know. I mean, if he's like almost even money, you might just want to take that because you're probably going to make the cut. 14th at API, 6th at the Genesis, 4th at Farmers. Like, Sahith is going to win a tournament at some point. I keep talking about this because it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be this week, but I think the course suits him pretty well. He's never played it before. He didn't play it last year from what I saw. Oh no, he did play it last year. He tied for 70th. So he made the cut, and then he finished last of the players who made the cut. So not a good Saturday and Sunday for him. But again, he's young. That was his first time on the course. He's going to have a different approach this time. The things we're looking at, like scrambling 93rd, so he's not exactly a good scrambler. Total strokes gained 57th. His approach isn't very good either. I do still think he's a good iron, a good ball striker and pretty good with his irons, but he's just a little raw. So some of those stats don't exactly add up. I think it's now we did just talk about not taking guys who have shorter odds because they played well at the Masters, and he really should be like probably 90-1.
Yeah.
60-1
At least
is way
80,
too short
yeah.
for him. Yeah. So I guess, the thing about picking golf, you come up with these rules and then you just immediately break them because you're like, I don't know, I like that guy. He's fun. He's
Oh,
that's
100%.
my boy
I have
out
so
there.
many of those.
We pride ourselves on having like really just rock solid logic, and then we can't ever follow the rules because golf's too difficult. So okay, so well, you got anybody else for wedge? Otherwise, we're gonna move on to the
No,
putter.
let's move on to the putter.
Okay, so before we do that though, we got to talk about Ignite 45. This is one of our dear sponsors, Ignacio at Ignite 45. If you're a small business owner struggling to generate leads and revenue, then this message is absolutely for you. In today's economy, a winning digital strategy is a must. Without it, your business could fall behind and lose out. Many business owners struggle with outdated websites and no real presence on Google when people are searching for their services. But don't be discouraged, folks, because Ignite 45 can fix that. They design great websites that turn visitors into paying customers and create SEO strategies that rank your business on top of search results. Ignite 45 is also the first digital agency dedicated to helping your business reach millions on your social media platform of your choice. If you're ready to see the real results and work with a digital partner that shares your values, then give them a call today at 720-740-1776. That's 720-740-1776, or visit www.ignite45.com/Godzilla. Don't forget that /Godzilla, because you can use the most famous promo code in the history of the world, Godzilla, to save 100 on your digital needs today. Okay, Nate, putter. This is the guy who you punch that ticket and you immediately regret it. Like so many of those putts that I know I've seen you make on some of those tricky greens where they just cut a little left when you thought they might cut a little right. So who's your putter?
I didn't have a ton of bet regret so far this week, for a change. But if there's one that I think like I didn't need to bet him because I already had so many guys in this range, it's probably Tom Kim. I think this is, we pride ourselves in our rock solid analysis, and I can talk about how he's top 10 in par 3 scoring and how he's, like third in driving accuracy. And this is the perfect type of course for him. He tends to play well at Pete Dye Designs. I can go on and on about all that. But the bottom line is I just sort of love Tom Kim.
Yeah.
And the game's like not like super awesome right now, Tied for 16th at Augusta, like cool, like that's a pretty good debut. But like really the results dating back to basically January have been, pretty lackluster for a player of his sort of caliber and a player of his sort of promise who won, 2 tournaments in the fall last year. He just hasn't really strung together many consistent results. So it's like I'm taking 40-1 on a guy who played okay at the Masters, who played pretty well there. And, it's the first time he's had a good finish in a while. So I don't know.
Little bet and regret. I got one. I do this every week. It's the same guy. You want to guess who it is?
No, lay it on me.
Tom Hoagie.
Oh yeah. I should have known.
Every week. Listen, I write so many notes. You can see the notes on all these guys. I spend so much time with these stupid notes. Tom Hoagie on paper looks incredible every week, and he is not delivering at all for me. There's just like, I don't understand. Like, I mean, I really don't. Okay, he's plus 900. So 9,000. So he's 90-1. That's terrific. You know why? Because total strokes gained. He's 14th in total strokes gained. He plays on the PGA Tour. Like, he doesn't play on Corn Ferry. Every week he shows up to the golf course with the rest of the guys and tees off on tour. And he's 14th in total strokes gained. Jordan Spieth is 25th in total strokes gained. And you get him at 22 to 1. 90 to 1, Tom Hoge, 14th in total strokes, total strokes gained. 26th in tee to green total stroke game. First in strokes gained approach. First in everywhere. Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, Patrick Cantlay, Rory McIlroy. What's his name? Colin Morikawa. No, Tom Hoge is first in approach, and he plays every week. And around the green, he's 174th. So he really struggles when he gets.
It's a good thing he's such a good iron player.
It doesn't make any sense this week, but I mean, come on. Like, anyway, he missed the cut at the Masters.
He played well the Players though, and the Players is a PGA course.
Yeah, he tied for third at the Players. Missed the cut at the API. Tied for 14th at Genesis. Missed the cut at Waste Management. Last year he missed the cut at the RBC. So I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. How can you be 14th in total strokes gained and then just miss every cut
and miss half your cuts?
Like, yeah, like I don't know, I'm taking him anyway. You know,
Gotcha.
I'm the only guy in the whole state of Mississippi who drives up to Tunica and is like, give me Tom Hoge. Here's $10. You know, and they gladly take it every time. At one point they're gonna offer me a suite. They're gonna be like, here.
Like, thanks for all the $10 donations.
Oh, I just threw that.
Dude,
Those
here's the other, like, just the crazy stat about Tom Hoge while we're just talking about his novelty stats and how it doesn't make any sense. He's 4th in scoring average this season. 4th.
Well, I don't understand. How do you miss all these cuts and just be at the top of all these like stats that we respect, not like driving distance? It doesn't make any sense.
He only makes 2/3 of his cuts, and he's 4th in scoring average.
So it's just feast or famine. And you'd think, okay, well, then he must have won a tournament by 14 strokes.
No,
because that's how that happens. Nope, he hasn't won a tournament all year long. I don't understand. I'm gonna get him on the phone one day. I'm gonna be like, what's the problem? You have all the tools and you can't put it together, and you're costing both of us a lot of money. So please just get a new swing coach and figure it out, because I'm tired of this.
He needs a brain coach, dude.
Maybe I can't help him there. I'm probably just as much of a mess as he is. But oh well. So that's my putter, Tom Hoge. 90 to 1, probably going to miss the cut. But we'll see. If he wins, oh my God, you'll never hear the end of it. If he wins any tournament, I mean, it's just.
Well, you're on him every week.
I know, because it's not like I don't watch him play either. I don't know. He is pretty rough around the greens. It's not like he's not exactly up and down, scrambling all over the place. So, but we'll see. So there's my putter, Tom Hoge. Yours, Tom Kim, 2 Toms with some very different games. So, Nate, before we get into our hybrid, that's our last category here. We really want to thank Rosie's Gaming Emporium. Today's show is brought to you by Rosie's Gaming Emporium. Rosie's has paid out over $475 million in jackpots so far this year. And guys, that was in February. I mean, imagine what March's numbers are. Alex won 140 big ones at Rosie's in Dumfries. Tabitha, 99K at Rosie's in Richmond. Douglas, 93K at Rosie's in Dumfries. Robert, 46,000 at Rosie's in Vinton. This is real cash money, folks. This is the real stuff. This isn't free play. Starting in March, new members play for free at Rosie's. Sign up for a free Rosie's rewards card and instantly receive $25 to $1,000 in free play for your first visit. Learn about this promotion, Rosie's rewards and jackpots, at rosiesgaming.com. Just go to rosiesgaming.com if you live in the state of Virginia and click on Rosie's rewards and jackpots. Don't forget, horse racing starts July 13th at Colonial Downs in New Kent, Virginia. My dad will be there live with his show. And if you have a gambling problem, call the Virginia hotline. I will give that number out as soon as Nate talks about his hybrid. So Nate, hybrid here. That's the guy who's going to make you rich if you can just connect. Who's your hybrid?
This is my guy, JT Poston.
Oh yeah,
I love JT. His odds aren't that great. I don't know if I'm gonna be like rich afterwards. Odds are like 60 to 1. It's like basically the same odds as Sahith. Like I think he was probably like 80 to 1 earlier, maybe 100 to 1, depending on where you were. And he's kind of been trendy. So that's not really surprising. And the reason he's trendy is because like he's just playing really good right now. Is sort of the bottom line. He's won a couple times in his career already, but he basically took Scotty Scheffler to the limit in the match play where he finished tied for 9th. He played tied for 10th at the Valspar, made the cut and played okay at the Masters. So he's had some pretty good results lately. And, he had a pretty good final round at Augusta, and his record here is ridiculous. He's finished his last 4 times he's come here. He's finished. I finished 3rd last year, missed the cut year before that, and then finished 8th and 6th the years before that. So 3 top 10s and 4 tries. I just feel like Poston at some point is the kind of guy that's just going to break out on a big stage. He just has too much game, and on a shorter course like this, it feels like something that's accessible to him.
I think you're right. How do you do at the Masters? Did you play?
Tied for 34th. Played okay.
That's pretty good. I'll take that. Huh. Well,
yeah.
Poston, you do like him. You gravitate towards him a lot. And one of the things,
especially on shorter courses, he's sort of just like on my list of guys that I'm like, oh, shorter course, Poston goes in there.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things about making golf picks every week is that I find myself gravitating towards sort of the same people, just the same names. A lot of times I have to check myself and be like, actually, this is like not the course for him just because you thought that he was going to be good 3 weeks ago and actually he wasn't. But that tends to happen because I don't know. There's so many golfers. So a lot of times the guys you don't watch or the ones you don't really think about that much, you don't gravitate towards, even though they could win a tournament, but we'll see. I stayed away from Sam Burns this week. He killed me last week, but he's a darling in this tournament. He's like 35-1 or something. Same thing at the Masters. And he made the cut, but had a tough Saturday and Sunday. So we'll see. I got a hybrid here. And I don't know. I don't know, Nate. It's not good. I don't love this pick. But he played well at the Masters, and that seems to be the only thing I care about this week. So whatever. My hybrid this is my last pick, Gary Woodland. 130.
Oh, all right. Gary's not bad, and Gary plays these kind of courses okay. He won the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. Which has small greens. I don't hate Gary here.
Me either. He's known kind of a little bit more as a guy off the tee, kind of a bomber, but he's getting a little bit older and his game has sort of evolved in some ways. Now, him and Brooks Koepka are really good friends and they were paired, I think, on Sunday, which I imagine helped his finish. He tied for 14th at the Masters. But I don't know. I felt like the odds for him were super long on a guy who is really playing well. He doesn't play as much as some of the other guys, but tied for 45th at the Valspar, 54th at the Players, 9th at the Genesis. And the Genesis it's not a great comp here, but still those windy conditions out there in Florida. So the problem is the statistics, strokes gained, total strokes gained 102nd. He's not even He's not even plus in strokes gained. Approach, he's 20th. So his iron game is good. Off the tee, 13th. Those are 2 really good numbers. Again, around the green, 199. And around the green numbers will probably be important this week because the greens are so small. So that is something that I'm ignoring. And I'm telling you now that it's not something you really should ignore. But I just tend to be scrambling stinks. Scrambling from fringe, he's first. I don't know why. I don't know why he's 182nd in scrambling, but from the fringe, he's first. So it's kind of interesting. So I don't know, 130-1. Again, you get up there, you're kind of just splitting hairs, but I don't know. I kind of like Woodland. So
I don't hate it just from I've seen him hit, play well at a lot of these courses that like don't really favor bombers just because he's like so comfortable hitting an iron off the tee. So I don't hate it. Really. It's pretty fun,
I think what I'll probably do is throw some money on a top 20 finish because you're still going to get plus money at plus 130. You might get like 8-1 or something.
I'm surprised neither of us took like Kashmir Keith at 110-1.
Who's that?
Keith Mitchell. 110-1. Yeah. 110-1.
He's been playing well. That guy's always in the hunt for some reason. So I guess he's another one. And I think we took him earlier in the year and rode out kind of a good game for him.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I'm also going to take Sahith for a top 20 finish at plus 230. That was another one. I ripped up that piece of paper, but that was written down on that one. I think,
Sahith.
a little bit of, yeah. I mean, again, he's been placing in the top 10 lately. So a couple of those. We're not doing like matches or anything like that. No exotics, but I do like to do a couple top 20s. I really need a win. So I'm going to start spreading around some top 5, some top 10s. Like I don't care I don't care if the odds are plus 120. At some point, I just need to like win a golf pick. Like I need one to just stick. So I don't know. We'll see.
My strategy was just empty the account on mid-tier players. Tired of taking long shots and losing.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Anyone else you took that you didn't get a chance to talk about?
Not really. I think that's pretty much my whole card as far as the bets go. It was pretty much all those guys. So yeah, I think I'm
well,
good
look,
to go.
I'm locked in as always. These elevated events have made golfing just an incredible product. I don't care what anyone says. It's so
absolutely.
much fun. We get to see all these guys every week. Again, we get to see Scotty and John Rahm. It's awesome. It really is. So we're going to be locked in. Thanks everyone for listening to this week's episode of Clubhouse Picks, brought to you by Godzilla Wins. You can download and listen to Clubhouse Picks on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please be sure to download, rate, and review if you like the show. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, drop a comment with your picks for the RBC, and we'll see you next week for Nate. I have no idea what the tournament is next week. I'll put you on the spot like everyone.
I don't know either. We'll see you next.
See you next Tuesday for the golf tournament. Happy golfing, guys.